Hey guys, welcome to Business from Scratch. This is episode 4. I wasn't going to actually do this, but this was actually a viewer comment. They wanted a video on the best software to use and then the specialty software and equipment that you need. So, hey man, I see you and this episode's just for you. So I'm going to do it'll be kind of brief, quick. It's not really all that complicated. Softwares, you got, Computer RX, you got Pioneer, you got McKesson has their own Enterprise RX. There's RX30, there's Liberty RX. There's a bunch of different softwares out there. I test drove like a bunch of them, and really the two that I really liked that kind of came down to it was Computer RX, which is what I ended up getting, and then Pioneer. I really like Pioneer, and then I think if you talk to anyone, they'll tell you those are the two best softwares that are out there. Why? Well, Enterprise isn't bad for McKesson because it's so cheap. So let me get to the price aspect of it. Pioneer and Computer RX are really expensive. I paid a lot, and I don't know if it was really all that worth it. And then plus they have their like monthlies that go by that monthly charges and stuff like that. So it's very expensive. And if you're not going to do any compounding, you don't really need to go with these softwares at all. That's the bottom line. Any software is equipped to handle billing, retail meds, usually LTAC facilities as well, just because that's a huge part of every independent pharmacy. And so they can handle all that stuff. I really need a software that could do some compounding as well, because we do non-sterile here and we're looking into building out a sterile Class A pharmacy as well. So we need a software that can handle all of that stuff. And I felt like Pioneer did a great job. I learned how to do compounding on it. And then Computer RX was really simple too. Ultimately, why it came down to Computer RX was just it's easy to understand, easy to use, and I know that when I start hiring a bunch of technicians and let's say they may not know pharmacy or maybe they don't know the software, it's really easy to understand, really easy to use. I thought Pioneer was just a tick more complicated. It's really customizable, which you can kind of drown in all the customization that they have, and but I like that Computer RX just kept it really simple, really basic. It's just no way that anyone could kind of go wrong with it, and they can't mess it up. Downsides to the software, their partialing system really kind of sucks. They have this IOU system. I don't care for it. With specialty meds and compounding, we don't partial anything anyway, so it's never an issue for us. But that if you're doing more retail, then that may be something that you might not like as much. I know Pioneer is better with that. If you can pound for pound, if you're not doing any compounding at all, I would look into like the Enterprise software. It's a little bit jaded for its time, but it's so cheap that I was literally getting it for pennies under the contracts and stuff that I have with McKesson, and so it would have been great to do, but it just wasn't set up at all for compounding. Specialty meds really kind of come down to hard for patients to handle medication. So from a software standpoint, you really could just use anything. It's not complicated. So yeah, that kind of solves that. And as far as like equipment goes for specialty medications, again, you're talking about high-end injections, things like that. So you just need to make sure that you have good temperature regulation in terms of your refrigerators. Really anything out here, it doesn't really make a difference. Either for specialty medications, either stuff most of the time it's in the refrigerator or it's on your shelf. Where you get into equipment is compounding. So if you get into non-sterile and sterile compounding, man, that's a whole nother episode in itself. But you're talking about different types of hoods. You have to make sure that when you do the construction, going back to one of our earlier episodes, that you build out your construction for non-sterile compounding and like the negative pressure and I built everything out to USP 800. Now I know USP 800 keeps getting pushed back now, but eventually it will go into effect, and I'm already built out for us. And then I don't even need to think twice about whenever that is that happens. For sterile pharmacy, same thing. It's like hood and all that. Now, for compounding, I'll kind of break it down to you. You need an unguator. Unguator helps you mix ointments, creams, etc. If you really want another episode, I can kind of show you guys some of this stuff, or maybe I'll just throw it up right here. You need an unguator, helps you mix creams, ointments. You need an ointment mill, so whenever you're done mixing it, if your ointment is still too thick and it's too grainy, you got to be able to mill it down, get it really silky smooth, and to where it'll absorb into the skin really nicely. So you need a mill. That's kind of pricey. Unguators, not so much. You need your hoods. You obviously need a really great balance. You have to get, and you generally have to get like a really good expensive balance to be able to weigh out your powders. Hot plate is generally on the more cheaper end. Don't get caught up in buying all this expensive stuff. A lot of it you could get through Amazon if you just read through the reviews, etc., etc. There's a lot of them that are for amateurs. Don't buy that stuff. Buy the stuff that's a little bit more higher end, nicer, but you got to read through everything. But you can really like save a fortune on this, because man, in compounding you could easily blow 10 to 15 grand just on the equipment and things like that you need, and you shouldn't, because frankly insurances don't cover anything on compounds. So you have to make sure that if you're doing cash compounding, you'll cover your overhead by spending all of this out. And as far as like equipment goes, man, it's your basic mortar and pestles that you need. Stirring rods, beakers, just easy stuff that you could Google. I don't need to walk you through it. But that's for the there's the compounding side. For specialty, like I said, there's not really much more than that. You do want to make sure that your system is a good one if you're doing compounding. But other than that, I can't really think of much else that kind of goes into it. So let me make sure I got all my bases covered here. Well, I tried to think. I guess that does it for me, guys. So if you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments. Check it out. Tell me what you guys think. I'm by no means endorsing any of these companies. I know I don't want Computer RX, but I'm not endorsing them fully. I like their software. I liked how it's good for our pharmacy, and then that's really just kind of that wrap right there. So, guys, if you have any questions, concerns, leave it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next episode of Business from Scratch. Thanks. Bye.